Hi everyone, and welcome to this Novation webinar on Automap 4 and Impulse keyboards. We've got some great info for you in this webinar, and also we've got people from across the business to talk to you about the different areas they cover within the product sphere. So I hope you'll find it interesting. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to the people who will be on the webinar today. We have Mr. Nick Venables, the EMEA Sales Manager. We also have Paul Whittington from the Product Management team. Adrian Hogg, that's me, and I'm the EMEA Product Specialist and Product Specialist Manager. And finally, we have Simon Halstead, the Novation Brand Manager, who will give a quick marketing update. So here are the topics we'll be covering today. First of all, Nick Venables will do a brief introduction. Simon Halstead is going to talk to you about some of the marketing messaging that we use for Novation controllers and Automap. Paul Whittington is going to talk about the way that we develop Automap and Novation controllers. And then finally, I'll take you through a feature demo of Automap and Impulse. So I'll now hand you over to Nick.
Thank you, Adrian. Now, as you're aware, my name is Nick Venables. I am the EMEA Sales Manager for Novation. Firstly, I'd like to thank all of my distributor partners for taking the time to watch this webinar. And also thank you for the continued success that we are seeing with the Novation brand worldwide. Our success is your success, and your success is very much ours. I hope you'll find this webinar useful and informative, and we're also keen to get your feedback and also any future topics that you'd like to cover. So today we're talking about Automap version 4. And as I'm sure you know, Automap is the software that comes with all Novation controllers, and in its essence makes it fast and simple to control your music. We have been developing Automap since 2006, and I really want to stress that Automap at version 4 is now a very mature piece of software. The integration it provides your DAW, your virtual instruments and your plugins is unparalleled and also unrivaled. For me, my hope is this webinar will help further your understanding of Automap and also enable you to spread the message with confidence to your dealer channel and also your customers. Automap is a huge unique selling point for your dealers, and I urge you to ensure that Novation controllers like the Impulse range and also the SL Mark IIs are set up with Automap 4 with your dealers. Again, thanks for your time, and let's spread the message.
Hi, my name is Simon Halstead. I'm the brand manager for Novation. That means it's my job to look after all of the communication and messaging that goes on around Novation, its products, and the brand as a whole. So today I'm going to talk about Automap, particularly in relation to how you need to be pitching it to your customers. So the first thing to go into is what is Automap and what does it do? I think the best way of introducing this is to say that there are many controllers on the market, and they don't always give users a really good level of control. They have lots of knobs and faders and encoders and buttons, but they don't actually integrate very well with the software. So this is where Automap comes in. Only Novation controllers have Automap, and what Automap is a separate bit of software that works alongside your favorite music software and plugins with a software edit page which shows you exactly what is controlling what. It comes absolutely free with all Novation controllers, and this is a very important point. Okay, so the next thing is, what is the message surrounding Automap? How do we need to talk about it to our customers? On a top level, Automap makes life easier for all music makers, whether they're just starting out or whether they're pro producers and sound designers. Automap is the original and the best and most powerful control software. We were the first company to develop control software, having identified this problem, and we first started research and development on it in 2006, and it's progressed through many versions across 6 years, and now we're on version 4, which is the most simple to set up and the easiest to use and the most powerful. We've worked with each of the major DAWs to ensure that they integrate well with Automap, or Automap integrates well with them. you can find information on the Novation website about working with each different DAW, and we've made a lot of video content which you should drive your customers towards. Automap is the only intelligent way of controlling plug-in instruments and effects. This is obviously quite a difficult thing which involves a lot of manual assigning if you're not using Automap. What Automap does is automatically assign the control surface to different software parameters. So in conclusion, if your customers want hands-on control of their DAW and plugins, a Novation controller and Automap is the perfect solution, which will make their lives easier and all around better. So the two principal controllers that use Automap are the Novation Impulse and the Novation SL Mark II. So let's start with the Impulse. The Impulse is the more affordable of the two. The tagline for this is professional keyboard, instant mapping. This, of course, refers to the great quality keyboard which has very high scan rate and allows for expressive playing styles. It also has a full DAW control surface and LCD screen, so it's got 9 faders, 8 encoders, transport control, everything that you'd need. The really special thing about Impulse is that it's got backlit drum pads, which are there not just to look pretty, but to give you visual feedback on arpeggio edits, beat rolls, and it will also allow you to see what clips you're launching in Ableton Live, which is a unique feature that nobody else has. SL Mark II. This is still our flagship controller, and it's used by professionals right across the world in the studio and on the stage. It is probably the most powerful keyboard controller on the market. It has over 56 physical controls. It has backlit buttons and LED rings around the encoders, so you can see exactly what you're doing with your software. It also has touch-sensitive controls, so you can bring up control information on the huge LCD screen just by touching a pot or a fader, which is a very important feature. It also has an Italian keyboard mechanism made by Fatar, which is semi-weighted and feels fantastic. So, to conclude, both Impulse and SL Mark II are great keyboards in themselves, but they're turbocharged by Automap. It lets them instantly control and see what you're controlling within the edit page. It essentially allows you to talk to your music software and control it, and removes all of the headaches from that process. It also allows you to reassign things and build your own mappings quickly and easily.
Hello, my name's Paul Whittington. I'm the Senior Product Manager for Novation synthesizers and MIDI keyboard controllers. I also lead the team that's responsible for Automap and most recently Automap 4. I'd like to give you a view into how we do things in product development. We do take ideas from everywhere, so it can either come from me or one of the team, or it can come from out there. So please do send in stuff to us. Design will then be taken. We'll think of how we might build a business case around it if it looks good, it's a controller or a new idea. We then work towards a specification that's either written by me or a member of the product team usually, but that's only the very first part of it. We basically, as soon as we've got that, get into a workshop where we have other people coming in and collaboration and work on ideas together to basically flesh this thing out. We always have representation from product management, from project management. They're the guys that keep us on time, keep us on our toes. We have someone in from test because we want to make sure the thing performs to spec. They'll work on a quality assurance plan, so making sure that whatever we make is up to a very high standard. And we have representation from technical support, which is really important because that gives us the vital customer viewpoint. And we get that in right there from the beginning, really, of the design process. When we've worked on the project and we get a bit further down the line, we bring in user experience testing, and we do that both internally and externally. We use groups of target users. We use people from the industry. We use dealers and distributors. Again, we want to make sure that the product is the best it can be and make sure that it's the most clearly defined that it can be. We test at various stages, really. We even test ideas. So one thing we did on Impulse, for example, is we have a software simulator that we use to mock up the firmware, and we can use that in software to tweak things really quickly and easily before we even go to hardware. So that's quite cool. when we get through the UX testing, obviously we move on to manufacture. We work with partners in China to do that, and the project manager handles a lot of that communication back and forth. And then eventually, when we've got a product, we ship it. I still stay involved at that point as we hand over to operations, because I want to keep an eye on making sure that the very first shipments out the door make it to the warehouses on time, which is particularly important for getting them into the field. So to the Impulse, we wanted to make something that still had that same Novation quality, but was more affordable and perhaps a bit more fun. It had more fun features on. It was really important that we got the keybed right. We wanted the best feel we could get. So we changed the spring tension and weighting, and we obviously went for the piano style keys to get the best balanced key feel that we could. We've also got an increased rate key scan on this product, and together that's giving best in class performance for this kind of keyboard, for this kind of product. We have, of course, lots of controls and faders, and that's really where Automap comes in. So through Automap, you've got access to hundreds of setups, which is really powerful for plugin control and for effect control, and powerful remapping how you like it. So Automap is really a key thing on this. And on the Impulse, we've designed the interface to be as simple as possible so that the mixer controls are over on the left, plugin on the right, and then the pads at the end, of course. And at any point, you can drop the faders and encoders into MIDI mode, so it can work just in a standard way too. We brought some new features to the product. Obviously on the pads, we've got ARP edit and roll mode, so you can change things in real time. We've got automatic syncing to your DAW, splits, layers, transport. So basically fully featured DAW control right off the product, and then extra powerful stuff through Automap. And in fact, Automap's really come of age in version 4. It's a lot easier to set up. It recognizes your DAW, guides you through, gets you up and running as quickly as possible. That was a primary focus for us on this. We've got a new notification method, so you get pop-up growl style notifications that get out of the way while you're actually using Automap. And we've got a new edit window appearance, so you see the product. It's much easier to map things and to see what's going on. We've increased the DAW and plugin support, particularly in version 4.3. There's a big list, which Adrian will talk to you a bit more about later. So thanks. Hope you enjoy using our Novation keyboard products.
So now I'll give you a rundown of the features. Now, we're always developing with Automap, so it's a great idea to go out and get the latest version from novationmusic.com. It's completely free, and we only have one version. In the past, we had Automap and Automap Pro. Now all of the Pro features have been rolled into just one version. We issue regular updates, and this gives us a great competitive advantage because when we add new features into Automap, we effectively increase the feature set of all of our Novation controllers, which is great for anybody who already owns one of our controllers. This is a screenshot of the setup screen, and this will automatically appear upon installation and makes the whole process of setting up your controller really, really easy. On the left panel, all of your installed DAWs are automatically detected. It's then a very simple process of selecting which controller you have from the drop-down menu and then clicking on the Setup button. This will take you through a setup wizard, which shows you exactly which settings to use within each DAW so that you can be sure your controller is set up exactly as it was designed to be. This also ensures that every user gets a great out-of-the-box experience and is especially useful for anyone new to the world of controllers and DAWs. Here is a list of the DAWs that are currently supported with Automap. And as I've said, we're always releasing new updates and listening to the market, so this already very comprehensive list is likely to grow as time goes by. As you can see, the Automap window itself is now really sleek and has a very modern look. Through the middle of the window are where your control assignments are displayed. These will be automatically assigned when you open the plugin. However, if you want swift access to your favorite controls, you can very quickly create your own custom mappings, either by dragging the parameters around with your mouse, assigning from the list at the bottom of the window, or by using the intuitive learn function on each Novation controller. And this is just a case of selecting the control, clicking the parameter, and then it's assigned. You can use the bar along the top of the window to save your custom mappings to a folder on your computer, so that if you take your controller onto another system, you can quickly recall all of your own settings. You can also set this custom map to be the default state each time you open the plugin, meaning that you only need to create the map once, which will both enhance your workflow and save you loads of time. One of the most powerful features in Automap is the ability to assign QWERTY key commands to hardware controls, so that you can create your very own custom DAW control surface, enabling you to quickly fly around your DAW sessions just using the controller. Again, this saves you loads of time and enhances your workflow exponentially. So let's move on to the Impulse range. Now, Impulse is Novation's mid-level controller range, and this is a precision keyboard and professional control surface. Now, it makes a really good live performance controller, but also it's great for use in the studio as well. It works with all the major DAWs via Automap, and we have a 25, 49 and 61 key version, so really one for every size. Here's a zoom in on the front panel. So as you can see, it's very, very comprehensive and very sensibly laid out as well. So you have the 9 long faders, you've got the bright LCD display which gives you loads of feedback from the DAW. You've got your 8 rotary encoders, you've got the backlit drum pads which actually will double up as a clip launcher in Ableton Live. You can also use them to warp and morph arpeggios when you hold keys down on the keyboard, and you can use them in beat roll mode as well. You have transport controls for the DAW. You have the precision key bed, and this also has a very high scan rate for the velocity, which I'll talk more about in a second. So the keyboard itself is great quality. We have aftertouch on every key, and it's semi-weighted as well. And really the guys, when they developed this, they spent a lot of time getting the feel of it just right. Now, I mentioned before we have the very high velocity scan rate. Now what this means is that the number of times the velocity is scanned between the time you first hit the key and the moment it plays the note is much faster than other keyboards at this price range, actually 5 times faster. The result of this is that the playing dynamics are much improved, and the experience of playing the Impulse with a virtual instrument is far superior. Now the Impulse makes it very easy to switch between controlling the DAW plugins and the mixer, just by using the plugin, mixer and MIDI buttons. So when the plugin button is lit, this is for use with Automap. The encoders become controls for plugin parameters that you've assigned in Automap. In mixer mode, which is when the 2 buttons are pressed down together, this is for controlling the mixer, so things like pan, auxiliary send. And then if you're using the Impulse keyboard without Automap, maybe with no computer or with a MIDI module, you can just put it into MIDI mode and the encoders will send out MIDI CC messages. Now the faders have this function too. When the mixer button is lit, you'll be controlling the mixer within the DAW, and in MIDI mode the faders can be used to transmit MIDI data. Now the Impulse 25, even though it's a bit smaller and has fewer controls, can also be used to control both the DAW mixer and to transmit MIDI messages as well. So we just have one button for this with the LED on. This is in mixer mode. And you can actually nudge to adjacent tracks as well using the octave buttons on the keyboard with the shift key. And then with the LED off, this puts it into MIDI mode, and you can send MIDI CC data. Now the drum pads on the Impulse actually have several different functions. Obviously you can use them to perform rhythm parts. The pads feel great. You can put them into beat roll mode and use them to roll the beats, and you can actually adjust the tempo and swing settings as well. And you can actually use the USB connection to match the tempo to the DAW as well, so the clocks will always be in time. You can use it to tap your own tempo. You also have an ARP mode, which allows you to warp and morph arpeggio sequences in real time. And again, you can actually adjust the swing settings and also the gate settings as well, so you can change the amount of time that each note's held down for, which can make some really interesting effects. Now, as well as that, we can also use the drum pads in clip launch mode for use with Ableton. So you can use the pads to launch clips. You can also use them to start or stop recording. So you can do lots of loop creation using the keyboard and the drum pads, putting them in and out of record mode. They're tri-LED, so you have green, red, and yellow colours indicating the status of the clips. Now, another feature for Ableton Live is that you can use the transport controls to go through your different scenes within Ableton and then launch a whole scene rather than just the clips, which makes the Impulse a great choice for people who want to perform live using Ableton. So here's a list of things that we include in the box with every Impulse keyboard. You get the 2-meter USB cable. We also include the Automap 4 control software on a disk. In case you don't have internet access, you can just use the installer disk. Also on that disk, we include 1 GB of royalty-free samples from Loop Masters, and also 500 megabytes of Mike the Drummer samples, meaning that anyone who gets the Impulse out of the box, connects it, and wants to get straight on with making music can do that using the samples that we provide. You also get the Ableton 8 Lite DAW software, again, so you can get straight up and running. And we also include a license for the Novation Base Station software. So really, Impulse does give you everything you need to get up and running straight away. Finally, I just wanted to talk about the importance of having these things demo ready inside the store. It's really a great opportunity for a potential user to come in and actually see the things working for themselves. Once you actually see the enhancements to the workflow and the ease with which you can get up and running using an Automap controller, it really is a no-brainer just to add that to an existing system. So for anybody who does have systems set up in store for customers to come and try things out, please do include the Automap controllers because they're a great addition. And that brings us to the end. Thank you very much for listening. Please do get in touch if you've got any comments on the presentation or if you have more questions about controllers or Automap. Thanks for listening.